Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We got a mailbag coming up where we're taking questions from subscribers. So if we missed your question, it's probably two things that happen. One, you're not a subscriber, so go down right now and hit that big red button. And two, you probably didn't join us on our live show that goes down every Monday afternoon. So subscribe and turn your notifications on by hitting the bell icon right underneath the video and select all so you get notified anytime we go live here on the channel. First question coming in from a real one. Red Win says, are we going to re-sign Evan Engram? I would say no right away. First reaction is no. I think Evan Engram has found a new home in Jacksonville with the Jaguars. Between Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, I just think that's a good fit for him. And I kind of think that it was the best thing for his career to get away from New York because he was in a spot with the Giants where it was like every mistake was highlighted and talked about. And he was kind of at the point where he couldn't do anything right for Big Blue. Even when he had a big play, it was finally he did it. Or whenever he messed up, it was like, man, this guy can't catch anything. Giants, I think, do need another tight end. They re-signed Lawrence Cager this week, so that has some juice to it. But Evan Engram, no, I don't think he's coming back to Big Blue. Crib's dad says, where do you see the Giants finishing in the East next season? It's a good question, and we just finished the Super Bowl a week ago, so I think it's very fitting. I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Giants can win the NFC East next season. I think the Eagles are going to take a step back, kind of that Super Bowl hangover. They also have a lot of free agents on defense. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, James Bradbury, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Is Lane Johnson coming back? Is Jason Kelsey coming back? There's a lot of players on that team that might retire or leave in free agency, and the Dallas Cowboys, I think, are a beatable team for Big Blue as Big Blue gets a little bit stronger going into year two of the retool with Daniel Jones, Brian Dable, and Joe Shane. I think the Giants are going to finish first or second in the NFC East next season, and I think they're going to be a playoff team yet again. Just too well-coached of a team, too good of an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. I think their roster is only going to get better and better. I see the Eagles taking a step back, suffering from that Super Bowl hangover that you see so many times. Bring him back says, do you think the Giants have any interest in OBJ? Any? Sure. I'm sure they're interested some, but I'm not so sure the Giants want to sign Odell Beckham Jr. I saw OBJ tweet during the Super Bowl about Kadarius Toney, saying they traded him. I'm sure that didn't look good for Joe Shane. They couldn't get a deal done when he came and visited during the NFL season. Smart, tough, and dependable. That's what Joe Shane says all the time he wants in a player. Smart, tough, and dependable. And I'm not so sure that is Odell Beckham Jr. We know he's a damn good football player. He'd probably make this team better within the white lines. But is he a leader? Is he someone that's all about the New York Giants? I don't think so. Should the Giants sign OBJ? What do all of you guys got to say? Let me know what you're thinking down in the comment section. Should the Giants sign Odell Beckham Jr.? Type OBJ for yes, no BJ for no. I'd roll with no BJ. I don't think the Giants are going to sign him. Jay Liv says, seeing Toney contribute big time hurt. Hope those picks pan out. Yeah, seeing Kadarius Toney play well in the Super Bowl definitely did hurt. But then I told myself, well, Kadarius Toney is the reason that the Eagles lost, which made me stomach it a little better. But I'm right there with you, Jay Liv. Seeing him make an amazing punt return was huge for the Chiefs. It was really the game-winning play, in my opinion. The touchdown, not really making too big of a deal of it because Sky Moore literally scored on the next possession on that play. But we knew that it was never a talent thing with Kadarius Toney. We knew he was one of the most talented players in the National Football, and specifically with the football in his hands. It was about the fit and the want to and the love of the game. I don't know if it ever would have worked out for Kadarius Toney with Big Blue. You're right, though. Joe Shane, you got to hit on those 3rd and 6th round picks because you just traded a guy that was a playmaker in the Super Bowl for picks. They got to hurt. I mean, they got to contribute. Jacobs Gaming says, what about Isaiah Simmons for Arizona for a second? Trading for Isaiah Simmons. A second is probably too rich for me. I'm a big fan of Isaiah Simmons. I was a big fan of him coming out of Clemson in that draft. I think him and a Wink Martindale defense could really elevate and take the top off his game. I think he could be one of the best linebackers in the NFL in a Wink Martindale defense. He could play on the edge as an edge rusher. He could play in the middle as a Mike backer. He could be kind of your Sam backer as well. And he could play a little bit of nickel as well on top of that. I think he's in a bad spot right now in Arizona, but I do think that with a change of scenery, he could really become an elite player. I just think second-round pick is a little bit too high for a guy like Isaiah Simmons. I'd probably pass on that. I'd want him for a third or a fourth-round pick. You know, Arizona's getting a new head coach. We'll see how much they value him and if he's on the trade block, as he's somewhat been disappointing, I would say, so far through his NFL career. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, because if the Giants trade for Isaiah Simmons or they make another trade or they sign someone, we're going to be going live here on the channel, youtube.com/NYGiantsTV. Giants videos every single day this offseason, and we're getting closer and closer to 25,000 subs. Help us get there. Hit that big red button if you love Big Blue. Mitch, who would you rather trade for, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, or Brandon Ayiuk? Justin Jefferson, because I believe he's the best receiver of these guys, but I also believe Justin Jefferson is the least likely to be moved. So taking Jefferson out of it and T. Higgins and Ayiuk, I honestly roll Brandon Ayiuk because I think the trade cost would be cheaper than T. Higgins, and I think the contract cost and extension would be less than T. Higgins, and I like what Ayiuk can kind of do at the wide receiver spot. Line up in the slot, line up on outside, be a problem in the screen game, and an athletic guy that's a generator with the football. Whereas I think T. Higgins is more just a vertical threat. I'd be cool with Higgins or Ayiuk. Would love Justin Jefferson, but that ain't happening. Mr. Yair says, do you think that the Giants underutilized Kenny Golladay, or was he just bad? I don't think he was as bad as the Giants made him out to be, where he literally couldn't even play over guys like Marcus Johnson. But I also don't think he's a good football player anymore. Had that great catch against the Eagles, cannot deny that. It just didn't work out. And there's a lot of reasons to that. The injuries, the fans, I think. He got on the bad side of the fans. Not that that has anything to do with playing, but I just think it's best for everybody to move on. I just really think so. He just wasn't that good anymore of a player. He was always a marginal athlete at the receiver spot. And when you get dinged up a couple of times, you have a hip injury, you have a knee injury, you have an ankle injury, you have a back injury, and your athleticism goes down by just that much, that's a huge difference in the NFL, and I think he just lost that juice on the outside. We'll get to more questions coming up in a second, but first, I want to tell you guys about the deal we have going on. Get yourselves a throwback Giants jersey by going to chatsports.com/Giants throwback. That's chatsports.com/Giants throwback. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney. We got a whole bunch of jerseys that I know that you would love. These are my favorite jerseys. I actually wish these were the Giants' home jerseys. I wish they'd get a little bit of red in the home jerseys. And I wish they'd get a little bit of blue in the away jerseys. Get your jersey today. McKinney. We got a whole bunch of them. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley. Chatsports.com/Giants throwback. That link's in the comments and description. Red Win with another one says, we need DeAndre Hopkins. Right, Marshy. I love DeAndre Hopkins on Big Blue. I think he's going to cost you a second or a third-round pick. If I get him for a third-round pick, I'd make that trade right now. Second-round pick, I definitely think about it because I think he's still talented, one of the most talented receivers in the NFL. I still think he's a top 5 guy strictly based off of talent. The production has not been there, but I think he is someone that you could build off and make this offense better and give Daniel Jones a number 1 wide receiver. Second-round pick may be a little bit too much. I would probably do it. Third-round pick, I'd pull the trigger ASAP. I think he's going to be traded pretty damn soon. Matthew Valverde says, honestly, wouldn't mind just focusing on bringing back our core players and building through the draft. Need to bring in talent, just not at the expense of our core players. What do you think? Yeah, this team has to get better, and you get better when you bring in more proven players, Matthew. I 100% agree. You can't just run it back with the same team that you had this year. But you can. You're not going to be any better. You got to get better. You got to get more talented. I think the Eagles game showed the talent gap that the Giants had with the Eagles. I think that showed you that they need to go and get more players. You got to get more players at receiver. You need a badass monster at the interior offense line. You need an off-ball backer. You need another cornerback. This team is still pieces away, but they're on the right trajectory and the right path. Matthew, yes, they need to get better players. Last question from my guy, Jalen Hurts stinks. If the Ravens trade Lamar Jackson, should the Giants make an offer? That is hilarious. Should they make an offer? Sure. Yeah, but I'm not trading for Lamar Jackson. I think it would cost way too much from trade value-wise, and that it would cost too much. I mean, the Giants have $54 million of cap space going into the offseason, so technically they would have the money to do it, but you still got to pay Andrew Thomas. You still got to pay Dexter Lawrence. You still got to pay Xavier McKinney. Make an offer, sure, but I'm not putting any chips in the basket of making a trade for a guy like Lamar Jackson. I think he will inevitably sign back with the Baltimore Ravens. Sounds like he is going to be franchise tagged, and they're going to be working towards a deal. While there was a report this weekend that the Baltimore Ravens would at least consider a trade if they were met with a huge package. So what about this? I know a lot of people are going to be mad about this one. I'm not too happy about it, but I got to ask. Would you make this trade? Lamar Jackson for your first-round pick in 2023 and 2024 and Daniel Jones. Would you make this trade? Type A for accept, type D for decline. You get Lamar Jackson, you give up 2 first-round picks and Daniel Jones. Would you make this trade? I say no way. Not a chance. I would not do it. Let me know what you think. A for accept, D for decline. I wouldn't do it. Daniel's the guy we got to roll with. He's earned that. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. You guys are the best. If you made it this far in the video, you are definitely a real one. So give this video a like and hit me up on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_.